So I've been working at Portal full time for a few months now, and it's pretty good, but everybody has a couple quirks. Kenneth, he still thinks he works at Chick-fil-A.
Hey, welcome to Chick-fil-A. Portal Insurance.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All Leith talks about is running cross country in college. Natasha's obsessed with biking and playing tennis.
Exactly.
10 drivers, about $5 million a year in income.
And everything Bradley does is some form of content.
Instagram. That is why I only use 2-ply toilet paper.
Well, lucky for them, I don't have any quirks.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm just setting up the light for the green screen.
Oh, okay.
I need more water.
And you've heard me say that podcast sponsorships are underpriced for sure. I would do, if I were you, I would test it out with somebody like for free. So let's say you take a local pizza shop, right? And I like restaurants for stuff like this because pretty much all restaurants have some kind of like loyalty discount or something like that, right? It's 10% off or something. And say, look, here's what I want to do. I'm going to do an ad for you for 2 weeks and say, hey, the Joe's Pizza is giving 10% off your pizza if you get our coupon, and you set like a landing page up for them to go to like a MailChimp or something. And you tell the pizza place to track how many people come in, and then what you do is say, okay, well, 15 people came in, what's that worth to you? Because yeah, you're sacrificing 10%, but that's just your customer acquisition cost. They're buying beer, they're buying wings, they're getting, all that stuff. And then either A, you can work something out with that pizza place based on those metrics and say, okay, well, these customers were worth $500 to you, and we just did this for 2 weeks. Why don't you pay me $250 a month? And you see where I'm getting at? Or let's say they say no, they're not interested. Then what you can do is you can still use those metrics and use that to get more sponsors. The hardest sponsorship we ever got for the insurance guys was the first one because we had nothing to go off of. Now, when I go to a sponsor, I have exact metrics that I can tell them, hey, this is what kind of return you're gonna see if you absolutely crap the bed and the ad's terrible. Can you make that work? Yeah, we can make that work. Okay, perfect, The biggest mistake people who get engagement make is they don't engage back. Okay, it used to piss me off so much when I was a young kid, just getting started, kind of marketing, social media and all that, and I was like trying like hell. Every single post I posted got 3 engagements, my mom, my grandmother, and my dad. And I would see like a local AC company post something stupid and get like 80 comments and they didn't reply to any of them. Like, that's the rudest thing you can do is somebody engage with your post and you don't even acknowledge their comment. Even the spam comments, I'll send a little emoji or I'll be like, nah, I'm good, or whatever. Because A, it's just nice. It's the equivalent of seeing somebody you know in church and you don't smile to them or say hey, which is easier to do now since you're wearing a mask. But me, I'm an introvert, so I kind of like the mask thing. I don't want to see you. I can put the mask on. But the other thing is if you're getting engagement on your posts, or if somebody shares your post and you don't reply, hey, thanks for the share, okay? You are telling that Facebook algorithm or that YouTube algorithm or whatever that you don't want engagement. So what's the algorithm gonna do? Remember earlier I said what you put into the platform is what you get out? You're telling that platform, I don't want engagement, therefore they're gonna show your content to more people who ain't gonna engage with you. So even the stupid comments, even the things that you really like, I don't even know how to reply to this is weird, still reply. Like my wife will get stuff where people are like borderline flirting and I'm like, reply, just say thanks for the comment, Even the haters, It's been a while since I got somebody really hating on me, but the last time I was like, hey man, thanks for increasing my reach, really appreciate it. So it's funny, one of the things that, I talked about in that talk the other day at Jason Will's place, somebody asked, is it okay to schedule content? And it's certainly not bad, but one downside to scheduling content is if you schedule something 2 or 3 weeks or even a couple days out, something may happen in the world that day and cause the post to either be insensitive or not relevant or whatever. And a good example is this, which is a post you made for me of a tweet that said, when electricity was invented, people were scared to put it in their homes because it could cause a fire. This is how I look at insurance carriers afraid to open their systems up. And I was ready to post that yesterday in the moment. And I happened to come across an article where a major insurance vendor was hacked. And that's the fear of these carriers opening their systems up, is they don't want to get hacked. And so to not get some hate or not, to avoid not making any sense, I decided not to post that this week. But if I'd have scheduled it, I may have not known that and it went out. You know what I mean? God forbid you post something about come get a quote from us and then, 9/11 happens or something like that. You don't want your post to not be relevant. So I think that's why it's important to not really schedule stuff and to just post it in the moment.
So let's talk about some of these interviews that I've been doing. I mean, it's a challenge on my part doing something like that, and I'm not even really sure what I'm doing there. I can see people watching it, but all my questions are pretty much structured the same, all the interviews, and sometimes it's interesting, sometimes not. I'm getting 3 to 4 pieces of content, I think, out of that.
What's your biggest struggle?
So my struggle, I guess, would be turning that guy into something interesting.
I've never had to deal with that, boy, I'll tell you.
I mean, that's a struggle. I mean, I try to ask some questions that would seem relevant, or I did a pest service guy, and that guy had some neat stories, I guess, about snakes and mice. So I mean, sometimes they're interesting, but I mean, sometimes you talk to a lender, how exciting can that be?
Yeah. What I would do, man, is how much prep work are you doing before the interviews?
So before the interview, man, I'm stalking their social media. I pose all my questions. I have a 2-page notes and I'm asking about 7 to 12 questions on those 2 pages, and the questions I pretty much know how they're going to answer, so it falls right in. It's more like a normal conversation.
Right.
So I mean, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I definitely think you're on the right track there. And what I would do is I would have, and I'm sure you're doing this, but I would have a set 5 to 6 questions that you can default to that will get interesting answers. Things like, well, tell me about the biggest problem in your industry. Tell me what separates you from your competitors. Tell me about why I want to do this. You know what I mean? Things that are gonna somewhat light people up. Because if you ask a mortgage lender right now, tell me what the biggest problem in your industry is, I'm going to be all ears listening to that. So that's kind of the angle I would take with it. That way, because Scott and I have dealt with that. We've got people on before, and it's always the ones you least expect. You're like, oh crap, we're gonna have to pull this interview through to the finish line. And that's no offense to those people. That's just not some people's platform. So I think when interviewing people, you should have a set set of questions that, okay, worst case scenario, we can default to these, and I know I'm gonna at least get something out of it. The other thing too is, like, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, just because they're dry, that's not your fault. And then what you can do is you'll start getting in a rhythm where it's gonna be interesting regardless. I felt the same way when Scott and I first started. I felt like, man, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And now I could do one by myself if I needed to,
Sure. Yeah.
I think the most important thing is just with interviewing, or really anything, but especially with interviewing, is just having reps, repetition over and over and over. And then, we're at 148 Insurance Guys podcast interviews. Somebody could walk in right now and say, let's do Insurance Guys, and I could sit down and do it. You know, and that's where you want to get to. Honestly, I have I'll default to you where you're like, we should do something here. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, this basically a blank canvas.
It is. Plimsoll, so Johnny was doing the logo, that's called a plimsoll. And he was like, there's this thing called a plimsoll that I've always wanted to put in logos. And what a plimsoll is, it's on the side of ships, circle with a line through it. So it tells the ship captain, if the water gets above this line, we're going down. So that kind of speaks to the whole insurance, most coverage without seeing the ship. And also the lines on Converse shoes, the red line.
Oh yeah.
They refer to that as a plimsoll because when the water gets above that, your shoe's gonna get soaked. Okay. So he's like, I want to do that in the logo. So it kind of gives us dual branding because we can just use the plimsoll or we can use the whole logo. People kind of know.
That's cool.
I assume people know, but that's the goal, right? Yeah. And I was talking to a buddy of mine about it. And I was like, I think people discount the cool office as it relates to recruiting. And he was like, absolutely. He said he had a business one time where they were literally hiring door-to-door salespeople. And he's like, as you can imagine, it's very difficult to hire people that want to go door-to-door. He's like, but we had a really badass office. And he's like, that was every single time. Right, it was that's what made people want to come to work there. So.
Dude, what's kind of become so apparent to me, and you obviously know this because you're moving, is you don't move for the clients, you move to scale the agency because really now more than ever, it doesn't matter where you are because you win on the relationships and all that stuff anyway. So it kind of takes the hesitation out of moving.
It does.
Of well, I've been here forever. The 3 people that walk in every month, you're all right, that's 36 people a year, right? Who cares?
We built this, when I started, I built it to move downtown. I didn't think we would do it in 2 years. I thought it would be 10, but I was like, I don't want to be stuck to a location. What I was thinking was, so here's what I want to do. I want you to make a spreadsheet, and you could probably use Agency Zoom for this, a spreadsheet of all of our referral partners, okay? And I know you're Snoopy, so I know you like doing this.
I already have one.
And I want you to have a note section on the spreadsheet. I want you to make go to their Facebook profile or social media profile, whatever, and find things that they're interested in, to the on a granular level, things that only people that know them would know. For example, I really like gummy bears. If you dug enough on my social, you would find that out, right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use that to get them gifts for Christmas. Cool. Okay. So I want you to compile that, such and such is into this, and that sort of thing. All right. Is that good?
Sounds good.